Hello everybody, my name is Kirti Shri Ganapati and today we will be covering the topic ethics. Ethics is also called as moral philosophy. It is the discipline concerned with what is morally good and bad and what is morally right and wrong. The term is also applied in any system or theory of moral values or principles. How do you utilize other people's words or work without breaking the law? The doctrine of fair use tries to provide guidelines, and it also comes down to how, and in some cases, how much of the material is being used. Fair use allows copyrighted material to be used for purposes such as reviews, research, and teaching, if and only if such use does not affect the potential market for or the value of the copyrighted work. That is, are you impacting the creator's ability to profit from their work? Are you taking financial advantage? So, ethics could be related to personal ethics, business ethics, and computer ethics. Personal ethics deals with a guide of an individual personal behavior. Business ethics deals with a guide on individuals' workplace behavior, and finally, computer ethics deals with the concern of modern conduct related to computer use. Have you come across virtual currency? Have you heard of something called Bitcoin? By the way, this is the logo or symbol for Bitcoin, B with two lines up and two lines down. So recently, Bitcoins were decided that they are a form of, it was decided that Bitcoins are a form of money, and in the same way, gold or silver. So there is trading which happens on Bitcoins, and there are some countries which tax it. So ethical use of copyrighted material includes but not limited to the books and web-based articles which needs to properly credit the source to avoid plagiarism. Note the word plagiarism here. Plagiarism means it is the violation of copyright law and an unethical act. It has strict consequences at school, universities, and work. Online tests for plagiarism are available and widely used by schools. At Bradley University, we are mandated to take plagiarism quiz, and it is strictly against the law to do or be involved in any kind of plagiarism. So here there is a differentiation of what is considered as plagiarism and what is not considered as plagiarism. Let us go through these examples one by one. So, if a student includes a few sentences or a few paragraphs written by another author in his essay without crediting the original author. Suppose there are two student friends who like to discuss and share the assignment work, and student A copies or includes a few sentences of student B's work without crediting the original author. So that comes under plagiarism. What is not plagiarism? So if a student includes a few sentences or a few paragraphs written by another author in his essay, either indenting the quotation or placing it inside quotation marks and crediting the original author with citation in the text or with footnote or endnote. This is something called references. Usually having references, if you have taken it from the internet or from any other author at the end of your work, either in the presentation or at the end of your project work, so that if you include that, it does not come under plagiarism. There are also tools which track plagiarism. Tools in the university and outside of university and work where the authenticity of work is always tested. Let us move on to example number 2, that is a newspaper reporter changing a few words in a sentence or paragraph written by another author and including the revised text in an article without crediting the original author. So this is kind of taking credit for whatever author B has used or has completed the work, and author A or the person A has just changed a couple of words here and there and made out a new paragraph out of it. That comes under plagiarism. What is not plagiarism? A newspaper reporter paraphrasing a few sentences or paragraph written by another author without changing the meaning of the text, including the revised text in an article and crediting the original author with a proper citation. Note the last sentence mentioning crediting the original author with proper citation. This does not come under plagiarism. As long as there are references to the original content, it would not come under plagiarism. Third example, a student copying and pasting information from various online documents to create her research paper without crediting the original authors. So say suppose there are search engines like google.com, etc. And if you try to get information, there is nothing wrong in getting the information, but as long as you have the citation or enclosed in the quotation mark or as a references in your project or assignments or homeworks, it would not come under plagiarism. It has to be original work, but you can have references or inspirations from online content. A teacher sharing a poem with a class, leading the class to believe that the poem was his original work. This is definitely plagiarism, because it is not the teacher's original content. He has mimicked or has been quoting somebody else's work. If the teacher clearly identifies the poet and cites the poet, it does not come under plagiarism. So these are few of the examples of plagiarism and which does not come under plagiarism. Have you come across any of other examples in your day-to-day life? So this is another picture which I got it from the visualcommunityguy.com, where there is a flow chart of what happens when and what we should do when. So if we find a picture online, say suppose Google Images example. So if we are in doubt, the rule above others is to obtain permission from the original creator or the copyright owner or the creator of the image yourself. The other flow of direction would be, did you create the image yourself? If it is a yes, was the picture you created an original idea? If it is a yes, you took the picture with your camera, or if you drew or design an image from the concept completely of your own, you automatically own all the copyrights to that and no one else can distribute it without your permission. If it is 100% completely original idea or photograph or design, you own all the copyrights. So this is all the positive flow of image. In case if the creation was not yours, if you created a picture that is so similar to someone else's that it might be thought of theirs, but you cannot use your picture for anything other than very limited personal use, including printing or hanging it on your wall. If there are situations when we are not sure, in that case, do your research to find out the copied of the idea. Otherwise, do not use a picture for anything else other than very limited personal use. So this is just one flow of what would happen if an image was yours, if it was not yours, and when in doubt. So there are different categories or different flow chart which shows when to do what. So there are other different categories such as the copyright, the fair use, and Creative Commons. Creative Commons means that the images are copyrighted, but the creator has put provisions on their use. A Creative Commons license might be stipulated. For example, that is, an image can be used as long as it isn't modified or altered in any way. So this particular picture shows the entire flow of what a person should do. And this particular paragraph over here, it says that there are a couple of laws which, if you break, would actually plagiarism or copying is illegal. So these are some more examples with respect to music on what began as a debate with Napster and what happened later. You can go through these details. So once a music is legally obtained, transferring those songs to other device is typically used as fair use, because it would be mostly as personal and we would not be distributing it to multiple people. So sale of ebooks, sharing, piracy of ebooks is also growing quickly. That, okay, a person downloads the Kindle version of it and shares it, something like that. We all know that movie piracy has been increasing of late, and downloading of illegal or pirated movies, then distributing it to all of a person's friends or family is completely illegal. It happens via the internet, of course, or through flash drives. So we have a couple of images shown here based on the movie DVDs, music CDs, and other IP rights. Coming to code of conduct. Code of conduct is a set of rules outlining the norms, rules, and responsibilities of proper practices of an individual party or an organization. So it specifies the allowable use of resources by students or employees. So what can be done or what cannot be done, all such rules are specified under code of conduct. Code of ethics is the policy typically for an industry or an organization that specify overall modern guidelines adopted by that industry or organization. As mentioned, ethical codes are adopted by organization as a whole to assist its members, its employees in understanding the difference between right and wrong, and in applying the understanding to their own decisions. Moving to falsification of information. Falsification is also called as fabrication. So fabrication involves unauthorized creation, alteration, or reporting of information on an academic activity. Let us see some examples of fabrication or falsification. Example 1 is artificially creating data when it should be collected from an actual experiment. Unauthorized altering or falsification of data, documents, images, music, art of work. So this is also an example of falsification. Unauthorized omission of data, information, results in documents, reports, and presentations. Say, suppose I'm working on a research project and my outcomes, if I share with one of my closest research partner, even that would come under fabrication of data. Hiding the data, results, or information using inappropriate scales or magnification and representation in charts, graphs, and other forms of representation. Falsification of information pertaining to the subject participating in an experiment. Falsely recruiting subjects for experiments without revealing the purpose of experiment or receiving institutional approval for involving subjects in that experiment. So it can be reduced by academic honor codes. So resume padding is considered unethical by most companies. So, as shown here, many companies will actually terminate employees who were hired based on falsified resumes or applications. Unapproved deviation from experimental procedure, or unauthorized use of individuals' computer login, ID, password, all those are will also come under fabrication. Say this certification exams like AWS cloud certification or Google data engineer certification, all those, if instead of person A, person B just sits and finishes the examination on his or her behalf, that would come under falsification, and it is illegal. Moving to computer hoaxes and data manipulation. Photo manipulation or digital manipulation involves transforming or altering a photo using various methods and techniques to achieve desired results. So, what can be fun of adding a filter on top of a photo will fall under digital manipulation. Some photo manipulations are considered skillful art, while others are frowned upon. So, the example, adding Snapchat filters, all those are examples of digital manipulation. So often they could be related to viruses, health issues, impending terrorist attack, etc. And it would be sent via the internet or email, social media, of course. So before you send out any information, do your research properly, find the authenticity of the original image. So, as already discussed, digital manipulation includes altering of the text, images, photographs, music, and other digital content. It is a copyright concern, and it can be used for to misquote people or repeat comments out of context and create false or misleading photographs. So, this is one particular link which I found where there are amazing digital manipulations. Let me just open that up. As long as it doesn't cause harm and it doesn't manipulate the authenticity, it is fine. So here, if you see, this particular image has definitely been digitally altered for artistic purposes. There are few other images which have been altered. The new term for it was it's photoshopped. Moving on. So here is another example of this is a digitally altered image, and this is the original image. So if you see in this photograph, Michelle Obama is seeming to be smiling very happily. These are some other examples where fraudulent reporting and other scandalous activities have been seen. So whether or not to implement a business process or decision is completely ethically questionable. It also involves customers' privacy decisions. For example, plastic surgery photos posted online, and decisions regarding selling of products or services some individuals may find objectionable. What may be right to me may not be right to others, or what may be right to others may not be right for me. So what is ethically correct? Everything, all those rules would be under the code of conduct. Definitely age verification for selling liquor. Moving to social commerce, the use of social media networking sites to promote online sales. So I'm sure you would have all come across so many advertisements in the social media accounts such as Facebook or Twitter, where in the right side panel, usually in the right side panel, you'll have sponsored ads, you'll have a like button, etc. It's also called as F-commerce these days. Social media monitoring can also provide useful information, like how long a person is using the particular app, or how long, which all products a particular person is searching for frequently, etc. All those web related analytics would improve the marketing of a particular product. And finally, coming to workplace monitoring, there are companies who inform the employees of the type of monitoring that can happen inside their organization. In countries like United States, there are monitoring or scrutiny happening inside the organization. In many of the organizations, there is no social media accounts which would be accessible to employees within the country, within the organization, through the internet. So there are cultural considerations as well, such as ethics may vary within a country as well as from country to country. Some may be socially acceptable, and others it is not. Individuals and businesses need to be considered both legal and ethical issues in global transactions. So, an example of cultural consideration would be, in some countries, bootleg copies of music DVDs and DVDs, CDs are sold openly, and it in few countries it is not taken that seriously, whereas in other countries it is taken pretty seriously. Coming to the legislation of it, these are some of the acts which was passed in various years. You can just go through these laws which was passed based on the year. And finally, it's time for our quiz. An inaccurate statement or story spread through the use of computers is referred to as, is it digital manipulation, is it code of ethics, or is it computer hoax? True or false? Most legal experts agree that it's okay for someone who has legally obtained an audio CD to transfer those songs to a CDR disc or portable media player for personal use. A blank is an inaccurate statement or story spread through the use of computers. I hope you're ready with the answers. So it is the inaccurate statement or story spread through the use of computers is called a computer hoax. It's true that most legal experts agree that it's okay for someone who has legally obtained an audio CD and for his personal use, as long as the person does not distribute it, it's fine. It's okay. And again, these two questions are related. It's called a computer hoax, which is an inaccurate statement or story spread through the use of computers. Wrapping up, we have seen the intellectual property rights, we have seen what ethics are, and the legal legislation related to it, which law was passed on which year. That's all from my side. Thank you.